Hi everyone, my name is Lauren Schmier. My article assignment for this week was to find articles relevant on applications and interviews. I found two articles that I thought were pretty interesting. They complement each other nicely, and while they don't directly have anything to do with the restaurant business or hospitality industry, they certainly can be applied in any industry. So they're from Business Week. The first article is entitled How to Conduct an Internal Interview. And this article details the importance from the employer perspective about how to go about hiring and the benefits of promoting from within. It can be generally more cost effective than having to seek outside of your particular organization, but it provides some guidelines about ways to go about doing it. It's obviously a good idea to make sure to always remember the employees that do work for you. There's some very loyal, dedicated, hardworking people that are just looking to, move their way up the ladder. And the benefit of promoting from within is that somebody is going to have a really solid understanding about how your organization works from the ground up. If you are seriously considering an employee, one thing that this article reminds employers to consider is not to automatically assume that you know everything about this person. Be sure to ask them questions that are going to generate some new knowledge about the person that you didn't know before, or at least the very minimum to validate the things that you already thought about this person, why they may or may not be good for the job. And ultimately, the message was to apply the same courtesy in the interview process that you would to an employee that you already know as you would to a new candidate. The one thing it does stress is to make sure that you're not giving somebody the interview and giving them false hope at the potential for being promoted if you really have no intention of it. If you're just trying not to hurt their feelings by thinking that they're not going to be good for the job, you're actually doing them a major disservice by letting them think that the promotion is actually possible. So, but again, to reiterate that the promoting from within is always a good idea, and at least not to forget to do it, so that you are giving people a fair chance. Certainly, I know that the restaurant that I'm working for, as my internship, it's not uncommon to meet a guy that's running the entire hotline who started out as a dishwasher, or restaurants that maybe have a little bit more corporate policy. Someone started out as a busboy and now they're manager, and so the people that are part of an organization like that are generally going to tend to be really loyal, super dedicated, and make sure not to forget them. The complimentary article that I found to that was called The 5 Deadly Interview Mistakes. And this is more directly related, obviously, to the interviewee for the job candidate. And it's just as relevant whether or not you are being hired from, outside of the organization, or if you are the internal employee who's looking to get promoted. These general mistakes are outlined as things to avoid, and I'll go over them real quickly. One is thinking that the interview is about you. Ultimately, what this is saying is don't be doing all the talking. Don't have long, drawn-out, long-winded responses for something that really could be pretty concise. Let them know what you're thinking, what your answer is, but you shouldn't be doing most of the talking. The second is failing to translate your skills and experience, and really what this is saying is communicate effectively. I mean, if communication is key, make sure that you're not making any assumptions that they know what you're talking about just because you might be in the same industry. And certainly if you're coming from a different industry making a change, explain what the correlation is and how you can tie things together as clearly as possible. Let them know what your experiences is and how that ties into the job that they're actually looking to hire you for. The third general mistake is people being unprepared. This can cover a wide variety of topics, obviously, within the interview, but come prepared. Come knowing as much as you can know about the job at hand. Come prepared with questions to ask. Come prepared with some knowledge about the actual company, possibly even the person that you're interviewing with that can only help you. And try to let them know that you're serious. The more prepared that you are, the more seriously you're going to be taken in the interview. The fourth mistake is lacking candor, and this is really saying ultimately be honest. Nobody's necessarily expecting perfection. Everybody makes mistakes. Own up to them. Tell them what you learned. How did you reconcile that in the next situation that you were put in? If you haven't had a chance to rework out that problem, how do you think that you would handle it? Nobody expects you to be perfect, but it's more important that you show the intellect and the consideration that you've given to your mistakes and how you improve. And the final general mistake is not asking any questions. And again, this ties into both being prepared, but also being able to think on your feet. Pay attention in the interview. Listen to what the person is saying. Don't be afraid to ask a question about something that maybe it's about the actual job description and the additional duties that you're taking on. Maybe it's just about them personally. It shows an interest. So make sure you show an interest, make sure that you're paying attention, and make sure that you actually listen to and consider the things that they're saying. So ultimately, you shouldn't be doing most of the talking. You should have some examples on deck, be prepared, communicate effectively, and really as the interviewee, don't forget to consider what it is that you personally want out of this job and not just constantly wondering if this person wants you for the job. It's a two-way street. So hope you find these articles interesting. I did. I feel like at some point, hopefully I'm in a position where I have the ability to hire people and that I'll take those guidelines into consideration, and I've certainly interviewed for a dozen jobs, as I'm sure all of you have. So those are always good keys to remember in the interview process. That's really it. Thanks.